Tucker Carlson's been nice enough during his lunch hour covering the DNC for Fox to join us. He's the founder of the 24-hour news site, thedailycaller.com. And, of course, everybody knows who he is, so no need to get into the libertarian conservatives background, dailycaller.com, 20-plus year veteran of journalism. Tucker, the world is really getting crazy. I could ask a lot of questions here, but I want to ask you, where do we start? I mean, is this not a referendum on the decaying establishment? I think Trump has proven that the old Republican establishment's going out. It looks like the Democrats are trying to hang on. Will they be successful?
Well, you let me just say, you have really captured the fun vibe here in Philadelphia. I mean, it is the most unhappy city I've been to in a long time. I keep running.
Cleveland was like a party. It was fun.
It's unbelievable. Actually, the Bernie people were very nice.
Yeah.
At least to me, and I'm not sympathetic to their economic program, but the thing that distinguishes the Bernie people from the Hillary people here is that they actually believe in something. So if you stand at the entrance to the convention center and you watch people file in, the Bernie people, I mean, they're always friendly, always nice. The Hillary people are mostly lobbyists from Washington or sort of 70s era feminists. And it's a completely different feeling. So the Bernie people really are true believers, and I'm not using that as an insult, but rather as a compliment. I mean, they believe in something and they're shocked.
They have a million times more credibility than just the Washington insiders.
I think they do. Look, if you've met them, you show up and they want to tell you what they believe and they want to convince you that they're right. The Hillary people have no interest in convincing you. They're interested in power, acquiring it, wielding it, mostly for their own benefit. I mean, it's not just Hillary. Of course, it's the establishment. It's people who've benefited from the last 15 years in America who've become richer and more powerful. They obviously don't want change, and a lot of other people do.
Let me ask you this question, and I want to get into what front and center for you, Tucker. All the scandals, though, it just has a smell, a feeling. Like, I know if she gets in, she's going to get impeached. I know there's nothing she can do short of becoming a dictator or something, and she looks so ill. I mean, she just looks like a failure. Clinton looks like he's about to die. He's up there shaking. I mean, it just seems like a joke. So I feel like we're winning even if Trump doesn't get in.
Well, I will say this. I haven't met a single person who likes Hillary. I mean, a lot of my neighbors...
I haven't either.
No, it's so strange. A lot of people I live near are voting for her. They're here supporting her. But they're doing so because they see material gain in her election. They want to be ambassador to Belgium. And so they're here, signing on early to the program. But I haven't met anybody, not one person who says, I really like her. I think she's a good person. She's an honest person. She's direct. She'll be a great leader. I haven't heard that at all. She's the default candidate. I think they are suffering from sort of the opposite of what the Republicans are suffering from. They had no field. There were no real candidates. It was basically Bernie Sanders, that loser governor from Maryland, and Hillary Clinton. So
because they're so controlled, like the Communist Politburo. So let me ask you this then. Where do you see this going?
Well, I mean, Hillary Clinton's the nominee. I'm leaving in a minute to go watch her give her speech tonight here. And she's really the candidate for people who are terrified by or disgusted by Donald Trump. And mostly that means on the left, people who think he's racist. So the rest of this campaign is going to be about one thing. Donald Trump is a bigot, because that is the fastest way to get Democratic voters to the polls to vote against bigotry. I'm convinced that's their only campaign tactic. They're not even, here's the thing, and I'm not hardly endorsing Trump, but I'm just struck by this. They're not even engaging his argument. You haven't seen one person in Philadelphia explain why mass immigration is good for America. Not one person has explained that, or why our current trade deals have been a great success for the middle of the country. Nobody is even pretending that those are arguments.
Instead Obama says Hillary will enforce immigration law when he's ignoring it. It's just crazy.
Right. It's not an adult exchange of ideas. And you see it in the press, too. Donald Trump is a lunatic. Donald Trump has no self-control. By the way, Donald Trump doesn't have much self-control. But is that really the point? The point is Trump makes a specific case about a bunch of different policies. If you disagree with that case, tell me why. Tell me why he's wrong and give me...
I disagree with the 0% interest rates, but he's not out to get America, so I'm supporting him.
Right. Exactly.
Tucker, for you, what are the central themes now? What are you looking for as the next shoe to drop?
Well, in the Hillary campaign, I mean, it's, there's a lot out there. The WikiLeaks emails, as far as I know, have not been fully vetted by anybody. There are just too many of them. And so it's possible we'll hear more there. By the way, if the DNC emails were hacked, who knows whose emails have been hacked? You know, which is something, by the way, to think about if you communicate by email all day, as I do. I mean, you wouldn't want your email out there. Probably time to change your password. But I think there's going to be more of that kind of thing that comes out. But for me, the campaign theme, the only one that matters to me is immigration, because it touches on everything.
It's basic sovereignty. I mean, you've got to follow the law. Exactly. You can't just open it up and give people free stuff.
There's no more important question than who gets to live in your country and who gets to vote for its leadership. That's the basic question that any country faces, and immigration affects that directly. So I'd like to see, I hope, and it probably won't happen, but I'd really like to see a national referendum, a national debate on that question. Do we have too many immigrants coming in? Not enough? I mean, let's talk it out. And
well, I saw one this morning that's starting to get picked up. One of these tagged emails is the Clinton campaign telling Google what hashtags to block, you know, for crooked Hillary and stuff. And then now Google won't even let you, as of this morning, they may have changed it, search presidential candidate. Donald Trump doesn't even show up. I mean, this is so transparent.
Well, the problem is, as you know, is you have a couple of companies with more power than any media company has ever wielded in the history of the country. There's just never been a monopoly like Facebook or Google, ever. And so, you know, the potential for abuse of power is huge. And by the way, both of those companies are deeply tied into the Democratic establishment, to the Obama administration, to the Hillary campaign. You know, I think we don't exactly know what's going on, but it's really clear to me there's massive potential for abuse, scary abuse, the kind of abuse that controls public opinion. I mean, that should make any normal person nervous.
Well, sure, search engine heads and Zuckerberg have bragged about this, and now they're doing it, and it just makes a joke of the term "don't be evil." Let me ask you this question. They've got national polls out, as you know, LA Times and others, with them 7.3 ahead, 7.8 ahead. Internal polling, I've been told, showing that number. I said that a week ago, 7 or so. Obviously, it's an electoral college, so you got battleground states. But my gut is there's a lot of folks that are closeted who are really going to vote for Trump. In fact, that's what people are telling me. So let's say he's really 10 points ahead. Let's say he narrowly wins. If Hillary's already stolen the nomination, they're already rigging search engines, they're already doing all this, they're already announcing, you know, the day before that the donors decided Hillary would win California. I mean, Tucker, isn't it safe to say that we expect Hillary or her people to try to steal the election if they've already stolen the nomination?
Well, look, whenever you frame an election as not a contest between ideas, like I think this, you think that, let's see who the voters agree with. That's what an election has typically been in our country. They framed it this way. You have a fascist dictator trying to take over America. He's evil and we're virtuous. If you frame it that way, you kind of justify any level of extremism, right? If you really thought Hitler was going to take over the country, what wouldn't you do to stop it? What wouldn't you justify in your own mind to prevent that from happening? Nothing.
But see, Hillary's the one stealing. She's the Hitler.
Look, I'm just saying.
No. I understand what you're saying. Yeah. It's just that, again, everything's inverted. Let me ask you this. Obviously, you talked to some high-level Democrats and people, you know, who are there at Fox News, or, you know, around at the DNC. What is their sense? I mean, you were kind of implying they're just there to be on the bandwagon?
Yes, but they also hate Trump. I mean, it's so funny. I had this really interesting conversation at a Bernie rally the other day, and I think your guys may have been there, actually. But I was talking to this woman, and I said, well, what do you care about? What are the issues you really care about? And she said, I'm really mad about trade. I think our trade agreements hurt Americans. And I think, number two, Wall Street has too much influence in our electoral process. And I said, you want to hear something weird? Trump said that exact same thing the other night. And she basically she refused to believe me. I mean, it's true. Those are Trump's.
That's right. They're so compartmentalized. This is how Google does it, where liberals, conservatives, other people are kept in their little, they feed you what they think you want to hear. They don't even know what Trump really stands for.
Exactly. That's exactly right. And I also think Trump could do a better job sticking on the issues. I mean, I think would be really helpful. Let me just say this. I think the left hates Trump so much and is so intent on holding on to control of the executive branch that I don't think many on the left will accept a Trump presidency. Now, I'm not sure exactly what that means, but my sense is they will not see him as legitimate, for real, in a way that we've never seen in my lifetime anyway, in 47 years. They're not going to accept him as president, and many of them anyway.
So you're talking about civil unrest, Tucker?
I'm not sure what I'm talking about, but I you know, for the decades I've lived in Washington, 30 years, there's been this sense, well, I don't want the other guy to win, but if he does, he's the president of the United States. Like, I don't know, you know, I'm an American, he's the president. I'll sort of get in line. I may not like it, but I'm not going to pretend he's not the president. I think things have changed. It's the sense I have no evidence for this, but that many on the left are going to say, you know what, he's not the president.
Well, I think you do have evidence. Look at all the civil unrest that Obama and Hillary have been fomenting. What do you think's behind that?
Well, I think you're exactly right. I think there's been an awful lot of racial demagoguery just in the last few days, last 3 days here in Philadelphia, but I think for the last 8 years. I mean, from day one, Obama has made the case, if you disagree with him, you just don't like him because he's black. You're a racist. You're a bad person. You're immoral. When you say that, or you imply it, as he has again and again and again, totally unfairly, there's no evidence that the average American is racist. That's just not, that's not true. But he keeps—
The average American's sick of hearing about it, I'll tell you that.
I agree with that. And you divide people on a deep level. Not just, they don't just disagree with each other on the issues. You're for TPP, I'm against it. They hate each other based on tribal affiliation. And those wounds are very slow to heal. It takes generations to heal those wounds. I think this guy has intentionally divided people, presumably to increase his own power. I don't know, but I can tell you—
No doubt.
Terrible effect.
Tucker, you talk about there being some type of permanent emergency maybe if Trump gets in, and obviously they vowed to do that, so there is evidence to it. But I got to tell you, if Hillary openly steals this election after stealing the nomination, I mean, I'm a peaceful guy, so I'm not going to do anything violent. But at a certain point, how do we up, you know, the political temperature to try to stop this if they're banning words, saying mother and father are bad, the borders are open outside of law, they're about to appoint 5 Supreme Court justices probably, you know, in the next 4 to 8 years. I mean, this is a nightmare scenario, and I almost feel guilty if I don't do something else, but I don't know what I do that they don't end up turning against myself or the Republic. I mean, I mean, I'm really having these thoughts now, like, well, we're really turning into a third world crazy town.
Well, they've been radicalized for sure, and I think they are. I mean, to give them credit for sincerity, I think they're genuinely afraid of Trump. I do think that. I think they're really threatened by the guy. They don't understand him. They don't know where he's coming from. They can't predict his next move. They don't think they can negotiate with him, and I think they really feel cornered. And you know, I hope that people don't resort to extremism like stealing elections. But you never know. People who feel deeply threatened do, you know, things they wouldn't do otherwise. And it definitely makes me really uncomfortable. I love this country. I have nowhere else to go. I don't have another passport. I grew up here. I don't want things to go to hell. And you really feel like when political leaders say, and they've said this flat out, if you don't like the law, don't obey it, or the whole system is corrupt and therefore illegitimate, it's racist. That's when things start to go the way of—
And then it's all selective, though. Then they throw Dinesh D'Souza for campaign contributions in jail while Hillary's getting money from Gulf states illegally. Exactly. It's like it's so rigged with the system out to get you because you're an evil American, or you're a white guy, or you're a libertarian, you're a conservative, and then you haven't done anything, and then you know the groups even attacking you are being screwed over. I mean, it's really scary.
No, that is such a good description. Even the groups attacking you are being screwed over. Right. I mean, if this were 1917, they'd be the Mensheviks. You know, they played a kind of useful role.
Yeah, exactly.
They're cast aside.
Look, you're out there in the streets, but you're also, you know, at highest levels of media. Obviously, the military's been concerned. They blocked funding ISIS and what Obama tried to do. General Flynn and others, Rand Paul to his credit, Ted Cruz to his credit. So there does seem to be an understanding now that we have this Machiavellian elite that are not even party affiliated now. They're just crazy. And I think folks are having it click now that things are out of control. I mean, that's what I'm picking up from billionaires and generals and folks. They don't know what to do, because when you get into the kind of the bureaucratic level and the politico level, that even, because I'm not defending bureaucrats saying the CIA or the FBI or the military, but they at least know starting a war with Russia might cause nuclear war. It just seems like you got a bunch of power-mad, crazy communists and weird feminists and communists, and they've got power. They're ruling the country. They walk on red carpets. They have mansions, but they still have some victimology 60s weirdo stuff to, like, get the man. And the man's some poor white guy down in a coal mine, you know, with black lung. I mean, I mean, I always thought leftism was just a cover for their takeover, but I really get they, I think, actually drink a lot of their own Kool-Aid. I know I'm ranting. And his Skype just paused. We'll go back to Tucker as soon as it comes back. Tucker, can you hear me? I can see him there, but he can't hear me. Guys, try to send more audio to Tucker Carlson. That rant was so powerful, it just cut him out. That's why I almost want to get satellite stuff, but then you have to go to I can pay for satellites or fiber optic. Then you have to go to a studio to be on this. The Skype is great, but it does this. Tucker, can you hear me? Yeah, Tucker, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you perfectly. And I think that was so smart. You just got cut off right at the end when you pointed out that the people in power describe themselves as victims. There are two things going on. One, the left kind of inherently needs to feel morally superior. They need the moral high ground because that's really the whole point. The whole left project is the good people rule the mediocre people, rule the bad people. The people with clean hearts are in charge of the people with, filthy intentions. A. B, when you're a victim, it means by definition never having to say you're sorry or look back and critically assess what you've done. And so you have this incredibly bizarre situation where the president of the United States claims to be a victim. He's a victim. And you have Hillary Clinton saying, one of the richest and most famous people in the world, that every white person is somehow, literally, she said this, privileged and needs to examine their privilege. So the unemployed machinist in Cleveland is somehow more privileged than the Harvard-educated president? Really?
Who wakes up in a house built by slaves, poor baby, and then it expands on that. You have Bernie Sanders saying, white people don't know what it's like to be poor.
Well, exactly. When rural America is collapsing in on itself in the saddest possible way. It's a slow-motion disaster that we're all ignoring.
Wow.
It really is. It's the saddest thing I think I've ever seen, what is happening to America outside of the big population centers. It's just absolutely awful. And these people are intent on attacking the people who are suffering.
Well, he said that's the enemy, the bitter clingers. In closing, dailycaller.com, Tucker Carlson, founder of that, of course, journalist at Fox News. In closing, who's going to win? I mean, who do you think, just stoled or not, who's the next president going to be?
This is the way I think of it. He's got the best message ever. He has trouble articulating it. She has no message at all. Vote for me. I'm a woman. He wins if he stays disciplined. That's my view.
All right, Tucker, thank you so much. We'll be watching your coverage at dailycaller.com. Stay with us, folks. I'm Alex Jones, Infowars.com. My fellow Info Warriors, I am very excited to be able to announce to you the introduction at InfoWarsLife.com of a new way to save time and money when you stock up on InfoWars Life formulations like Survival Shield X2 and Super Male Vitality. Just go to InfoWarsLife.com today, select your favorite product, click on Auto Ship before adding to cart, and choose how often you want us to send you another order. Every time you choose Auto Ship at InfoWarsLife.com, you get 10% off and you won't have to worry about running out and having to reorder next time. And of course, you can cancel with one click anytime. As you know, I'm all about the idea of a 360 win. And the new auto ship feature at InfoWarsLife.com is a sure win for everybody. A win for liberty, a win for health, and a win when it comes to big savings. Visit InfoWarsLife.com today and save 10% on your next InfoWars Life order by selecting auto ship at checkout. That's InfoWarsLife.com or call 888-253-3139.